Here's a number for you. SpaceX, ticker SPCX, went public 2 weeks ago. It opened around 150. Within 4 days, it hit 225, a 50% gain, a $1 trillion valuation. And then, it gave almost all of it back. By Friday, it closed at 153. Round trip complete. IPO price to all-time high, back to almost exactly where it started. If you're new here, subscribe. Every video is a single stock, start to finish. Watchlist link in the pinned comment. So what happened? And more importantly, what happens now? Let's start with the mechanics, because understanding how SPCX went to 225 is the only way to understand why it's back at 153. SpaceX IPO'd, with roughly 4% of its shares available to trade. 4%. The rest is locked up. Musk, insiders, early investors. That 4% float? Spot Gamma estimated the actual tradable supply at maybe 3 to 5%. So you had a situation where Fidelity lowered the entry barrier to $2,000, opening the floodgates to retail demand against a supply that was essentially fixed. No short sellers to balance it. You couldn't borrow shares. The cost was astronomical. And passive funds? They weren't in yet. So the price did what prices do when demand overwhelms supply. It ripped. By June 16th, SPCX touched 225.64, from 150 to 225 in 4 sessions. Then the selling started. Looking at the chart now, it's a classic post-IPO arc. The daily chart shows the whole story. IPO day green candle, massive volume. Days 2 and 3, green candles climbing to 200. Day 4, the blow-off top at 225 with a long upper wick. Then 5 straight red days, down to 147. A 35% drop from the high in a week. Friday's close, 153.23. Here's what matters. The price is now sitting right back near the IPO level. The short-term trend on the daily cites around 177. The medium term around 194. Price is below both. On the 1-hour chart, the picture is more compressed. Price at 152.92, the short-term trend at 156.77, just a few dollars above. The lower rail sits around 150, so we're in a tight $6 band between 147 and 153, with trend above. The volume tells the story too. IPO day saw almost 1 billion shares trade. Friday, 127 million. That's an 85% drop in participation. The speculators are gone. What's left is the real price discovery. Whoever wants to own this for more than a trade. Now let's talk about why anyone would want to own it. The bull case isn't the rockets. It's the AI infrastructure play. SpaceX just signed compute deals with Anthropic, Google, and Reflection AI. They're building data centers in Tennessee and Mississippi. And here's the bigger picture. They're planning orbital data centers, satellites with compute power connected by laser links. That's what the Mesh acquisition is about. FTC filings show Musk is looking to buy Mesh, a startup founded by 3 former SpaceX engineers who built the laser communication systems for Starlink. Mesh makes optical modules for data centers. Higher efficiency, lower latency. It's a piece of the puzzle. They also bought Cursor, an AI coding company. That's for xAI, Musk's AI lab, to fix their coding capabilities, which apparently lag the competition. So the story is, rockets launch satellites, satellites provide compute, compute powers AI, AI generates revenue. That's the pitch. Wall Street seems to buy it. 7 analysts cover SPCX. Average target, 242.57. That's 58% above Friday's close. High target is 401. Low is 165. The sentiment skews positive. 55% buy ratings, 27% hold, 18% sell. But here's where it gets tricky. SPCX is not in the S&P 500. It can't be. SpaceX lost $49 billion last year. S&P requires GAAP profitability. Earliest eligibility is mid-2027, and only if they turn profitable. But the other indices, that's the near-term catalyst. FTSE Russell is set to add SPCX after June 26th close, MSCI sometime around June 29th, and NASDAQ 100 if SPCX meets the market cap requirements, could be 15 trading days post-IPO, which puts it around early July. Here's the math that matters. Spot Gamma estimates passive buying of $22 to $27 billion if SPCX enters these indices. Bloomberg estimates 0.47% to 0.7% weight in the NASDAQ 100. That's a lot of forced buying. But here's the catch. Forced buying at whatever the price is on inclusion day. If SPCX is at 150, they buy at 150. If it's at 200, they buy at 200. Passive funds don't negotiate, so you have a setup where the next 2 weeks could see 20+ billion in algorithmic buying, or not, if the market cap threshold isn't met, or if the index providers delay. Let's talk risk. First, the float. 4% tradable supply means any meaningful selling pressure can crash the price. There's no buffer. The lockup period for insiders expires eventually, and when those shares hit the market, the supply dynamics change completely. Second, the cash flow. SpaceX burns money. The IPO raised capital, but they're building data centers, launching Starship, acquiring companies. This is a growth story, not a profitability story. Not yet. Third, the chart. SPCX is in a downtrend. Lower highs, lower lows since the 225 peak. The daily shows price below both short and medium-term trends. The 1-hour shows compression, price pinned between 150 support and 157 trend resistance. Here's how I'd frame the trade. If you're looking for a quick flip on index inclusion, the window is now to early July. The Russell rebalance was Friday after close. MSCI is end of June. NASDAQ 100 would be early July. If you believe the passive flows matter, you're betting on a spike. Target 180 to 200, stop 145. Risk is the inclusion doesn't happen, or the market sells the news. If you're looking for a longer hold, the street target is 242. That requires SpaceX to execute on AI infrastructure, turn profitable, and justify the trillion-dollar valuation. That's a 2027 story, not a 2026 story. If you're bearish, the chart is broken. Support is 150, then 147, then nothing until 140, which is roughly the 50% retracement from IPO to ATH. A break below 147 opens the door to 130, 120, wherever real buyers step in. The problem is, with a 4% float, there's no telling where that is. My take? SPCX at 153 is priced for the story, not the numbers. The story is compelling. The numbers aren't there yet. That gap is your risk. Drop a comment. Are you buying the SpaceX AI infrastructure story or waiting for profitability? I'll pin the best take. Subscribe if this helped. Watchlist link in the description. Trade safe.